Good afternoon and welcome to BizTech's Asian Midday Market Watch. Our guest today is Gabriel Yap, Executive Chairman of GCP Global. Gabriel, it's always great to have you every Friday.
Yes, looking at you, we know it's a Friday. It's the start of a good weekend.
Now, before we get your insights, let's take a look and see how markets across the region are performing. Now, we're going to start first with, however, crypto markets. Bitcoin is above the 40,000 level at 40,138. It's up 1.91%. Ethereum is at 2,769.65. It's up 2.65%. So Ethereum has really been on a charge. There are major developments planned with Ethereum over the next 6 to 12 months. So there has been a lot of movement in Ethereum in the last couple of weeks. Now, looking at regional markets, we've got Bursa Malaysia, which is at 1,491.1. It's down 0.31%. The SGX is at 3,181.23. It's up 0.19%. Now, across the region, we've got Nikkei, which is at 27,805.7. It's up 0.28%. Shanghai Composite is down 0.48% to 3,449.85. The Hang Seng is pretty flat at 26,206.75. It's just up slightly 0.01%. Rounding up the numbers, we've got the ASX 200, which is at 7,513.7. It's up 0.03%. Gabriel, what's your view on how markets have performed this morning?
Well, it's the beginning of a new month, so it's down to one particular thing. That is actually the job numbers tonight. So market expectation 636,000. If we come in above that, market may get erratic, especially if it's indicating that interest rates have to be raised much earlier. If it comes below that, it will be considered positive for the market. So when the market mode has moved towards bad news is good news for the market because of delayed impact on interest rates.
Okay, I want to take a look at something very interesting that happened in Indonesia this morning. PT Bukalapak.com, which is an Indonesian e-commerce company backed by Ant and also Singapore Sovereign Wealth Fund GIC. Now, it rose almost 25% this morning on its market debut after raising 1.5 billion. Now, that's Indonesia's biggest ever IPO. Now, Gabriel, what's your view on this, especially because of the unusual fact that a tech unicorn has chosen to IPO in its home market, Indonesia?
Yeah, it's very unusual because, and I must say they are very important because its other competitor, that's Tokopedia, is actually looking for a listing. And well, Tokopedia, as you know, is actually combining with actually Gojek to actually list in the US, simply because they are looking for international-based investors. So what this company has done was considered quite bold, considering the fact that the Jakarta market is actually plagued by a couple of things. One is on the valuation side. Two, tech is actually fairly new to the Jakarta market. And third, the benchmark valuation, be it actually the metric on price to cash flows, when for break even, still not established among international investors.
So do you think they potentially then took the view that perhaps they would get a lot more visibility by listing in their home market? Because after all, they've got very large institutional global shareholders in their current share roster already.
Well, it is actually very interesting because, Prime, the reasons I think one can second guess because the likes of the big tech in Indonesia and India, which is currently in favor because of the out favor on tech from China. So, for example, in India, the likes of Paytm or Paytm, and a few others are looking for listing very much on the US. So their assertions is that they want an international base of international investors. You saw how Zomato has actually performed and also looking at the price reactions. So I must say, essentially, this is quite different from what is actually being on the Indonesian market as well as actually on the Indian market.
Now, this week, the two main drivers of volatility have been basically everything surrounding the Chinese regulatory drive. And secondly, of course, the severity of Delta outbreaks across the region, which is obviously then really on the back of the minds of investors. Now, how are you responding to these concerns within your own investment portfolio and your own decision making?
Well, I bear that in mind, but the thing is that as long as the Delta variant does not actually result in the closure of the economy, as what we saw during the circuit breaker, as well as actually the shutdown that we saw last year, I think the governments in the world are actually responding to the understanding of Delta variant. And while recognizing the fact that it is a more transmittable variant, it does not automatically means that we need to cut off the lifeline economy, because that's actually going to worsen the impact of the virus. So if we take that status quo and project ahead, then of course our defensive, that is actually the real estate investment trust, will actually do fairly well and have done fairly well. In fact, my class tomorrow, if your viewers want to sign up, you can go to GCP Global website to sign on. We're seeing record response for people looking to park the money in more resilient REITs, real estate investment trusts.
Okay.
And then the next aspect is that real estate investment trusts give you the stability and the growth of the dividend. You need to reinvest those dividends into higher beta seeking and alpha seeking kind of returns. So in that regard, that's why we actually look into tech. And within tech itself, we also again looking more the resilient ones, as what we profiled last week in your program. We like the things that is actually your Facebook, your Alphabet, your Apple, your Google, as well as actually because these companies are the ones that constitute 23% of the S&P 500, and they actually have outperformed the rest, that's the 495 companies within the S&P. And if you ask me, if I look at their cash hot and operating cash flow, I think that they will continue to increase even though there's a little setback on Amazon just based on themselves.
Gabriel, as always, thank you very much for coming on the show.
Have a good weekend.
Yes, you too. Now, we've been speaking to Gabriel Yap, the Executive Chairman of GCP Global, on BizTech's Asian Midday Market Watch. I'm Brian Fernandez. Check out our various platforms and also subscribe and like to our Facebook and LinkedIn pages. Thank you very much for tuning in.